It's been a topic of conversation in the Halloween franchise for many years. That topic of conversation being Halloween 6: The Curse of Michael Myers and its rocky production history. In 1994, Phil Rosenberg turned in a script to the Accords that he thought was the best way to move the franchise forward after a 5-year hiatus. This script did share many similarities to Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers, the film we would eventually see, but it also went off in some really weird tangents. This script was titled Halloween 666: The Origin, or The Origin of Michael Myers. If you can remember back in the mid to late 90s when this film was being marketed, there were even early trailers and TV spots featuring that title, though that script was never put before cameras. So what happened with Halloween 666: The Origin? What was different? What was retained? And why did we never see that version of the film? So the major differences that you can find in Halloween 666's script are as follows. First, instead of Kara Strode being our heroine, we're following a different character. This woman is a Chicago reporter named Dana Childress, who is for some reason having dreams of Michael Myers in ancient druid ceremonies. There's no reason given as to why at the beginning, and you're even a little more confused at the onset because Strode's not in the name. To your knowledge, there's no connection whatsoever. Tommy Doyle is still here, and he's very similar to the version we saw on screen in the film we ended up getting. But in this version of the story, he was even more of an outcast. He was absolutely obsessed with Michael, and he became essentially the new Dr. Loomis. See, he was hunting for Michael, whereas in Curse, it seems that he's prepared for him and he knows he's coming, but he's not actively out on the search for Michael Myers to take him on mano a mano. Dr. Loomis was also back in this script as well, but he really only got a cameo role. See, the idea was that Dr. Loomis had basically run his string out. For years and years, he had tried to convince people that Michael Myers was coming, that Michael Myers was back, that Michael Myers was going to kill people in Haddonfield again. And every single time, he was basically called a quack. People didn't believe him. People thought, oh, here's the crazy old man again. So in this script, Loomis was a patient at Smith's Grove. He was institutionalized. He had essentially lost his mind. That I do not really like personally, simply because Loomis was right. He wasn't wrong about Michael Myers coming back and doing the things he did. So, kind of glad we did not get that portrayal of Loomis, especially because in the script, to my knowledge, he only had that one scene. Also in this script, we were to see the return of Sheriff Meeker, Bo Starr's character from Halloween 4 and 5. Now, immediately, that stretches credibility because he died at the end of Halloween 5. If you watch that breakout scene in the jail, you can see his body sprawled out face down while Jamie is walking through the jail at the end of the movie. It was also going to bring back Reverend Jack Sayer. Yes, that's right. Yes, we'll gather round the river. That guy, a fan favorite from Halloween 4. But he was going to be revealed as the Man in Black from Halloween 5. I don't know if I would have liked that more than what we got with Dr. Wynn, but part of me kind of thinks so. But that was another difference in this script. Now, this is when the script got even more bizarre, to the point where it's actually probably for the best that this did not happen. It was going to be revealed to us that Dana was having these visions because she was Michael's long-lost sister. How does that make any sense whatsoever? The age difference was going to be huge between them. Obviously, Lori being his sister already was stretching credibility because we had no idea there was a baby there because there wasn't initially. So now there would have been 2 kids there. That, in and of itself, would have been, not for me. Then there was this mixture of virtual reality in the script. Now, it's not surprising. Obviously, in the 90s and early 2000s, VR was really hip. I mean, you think about it nowadays and you think that it's even more hip with Oculus and whatnot. In the script, there was talk about some of these druid ceremonies being weaved into a VR video game, and it's just really weird and out there. And then the way the script handled Michael Myers. Now, I've read articles about this, and I feel like to a point, it is kind of fair to say that it's similar to what Rob Zombie did in Halloween 2, but I would say even farther out there. See, in this script, Michael Myers was homeless, but he was living at a homeless shelter. And not only is he living there and not killing these people, but he's accepted by them because they don't know who he is. He's obviously not wearing his mask. There's mention in the script about how people are kind of worried about his face and how scarred it is and kind of put off by it, but nobody knows who he is. So him matriculating into a homeless colony and just being accepted and being fine and not doing anything to these people, that's a little weird. Michael may have been a hobo in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, but he wasn't hanging out with other hobos and eating soup. But again, a lot of the major plot points remained the same. The Cult of Thorn, the ending of the movie with the ceremonies, all that kind of basic story was still there. What Daniel Farrands did when he was brought on was change certain things that didn't really make much sense. He got rid of Dana being this long-lost sister because it really doesn't make sense. He brought in a Strode that happened to be tangentially connected to Lori and her family and the Myers house. He made Dr. Loomis more of a softer, older man that was, yes, at the end of his string, but his purpose was still there to stop Michael Myers. He also made Tommy Doyle a little bit more palatable. He took out the VR aspect of the script, which, again, just it would not have aged well whatsoever. And honestly, he made a more coherent story. See, when we watch Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, and we've talked about this many times on my channel, no matter what version you watch, there are moments where it's not super coherent. I love the film, absolutely, but the script we got from Farrands was far better than what they originally presented him with. Now, this movie almost got made. This was the script that was being shopped around in the mid-90s. This was the script that was being shown to filmmakers to make the next Halloween movie with. And the director that they approached at the time to do it was Scott Spiegel, the producer of the original Evil Dead. He took one look at the script and said, no thanks. And Mustafa Akkad apparently threw the script across the room. Now, if you remember with Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers lore, Daniel Farrands had initially pitched to Mustafa Akkad a story for Halloween 6, and it didn't really go anywhere. He thought the meeting went poorly, they weren't interested. Well, after this script got bandied about and nobody wanted to touch it, Daniel was contacted to do it. We did an interview with Daniel Farrands on the You Need a Horror podcast, and the guy was so smart, so honest, very talkative. We loved having him on, and he shed some light into the pre-production of this movie and what it was like on set. So if you guys haven't listened to that, I highly suggest you do. Say what you will about Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, Daniel Farrands at least steered the ship into a port where it was somewhat coherent and has become a movie that a lot of fans consider to be one of their favorites nowadays. Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, when I watched it for the first time on TV when I was young, probably 10 or 11 years old, I hated it, absolutely hated it. I watched it a few more times, and I had grown to love the movie, and now it's probably in my top 5, if right outside my top 5 in the franchise. I think it is a misunderstood movie that is just mean, that swings for the fences and tries to tie up loose ends because all the sequels prior to that movie didn't do Halloween 6 any favors. There were so many plot points that were left hanging that Daniel Farrands was tasked with having to tie up, and I think he did the best he could with what he was given. So Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers had a very troubled production, and we know that. Let's not even mention the reshoots, the rewrites while on set almost daily. But before all of that, the original script was actually far different from the movie that we got. But based off of what you know and what you may have learned today about Halloween 666, the origin of Michael Myers, does that story sound better to you than what we got? Or are you happy with Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers? Discuss down below with me. And I'll just close by saying this. At least we didn't have to see our beloved hero, Dr. Loomis, get institutionalized like he was a madman.